Far north in the wastes of Anwen, in the northern reaches of the realm of death, a whisper stirs. It is the whisper of a trapped soul, a soul that desperately cries out to be heard. It is a soul from another time, another existence. It is a soul that troubles Sorceress Carina, that robs her of sleep and assails her consciousness with visions and portents of destiny, both fortuitous and malign. On this night, a dark night, where the stars of the Shaetian night blaze like ancient waypires, the voice comes once more. It trickles in, snaking up the obsidian walls of her tower that resides along the sea of shattered spires. It slinks along the spear tips and steel armour of her unwitting garrison, whose keen, druchy eyes behold many things save the invasive voice. It crawls into her dorm, picking along the carpet of thick herbeast fur, slithering up her arms as she lays on her bed of silks. Then it sounds, quiet, trickling like water in an undisturbed cave, yet ever present. It rouses her, robs her of sleep, denies her rest. Karina needs her rest. Her powers wane, and those who would seek to usurp her, those acolytes who believe themselves worthy to assume her position of power, are rallying. Enough is enough. The voice must answer. It must pay. "Who are you?" she calls out to the gloom. "Who are you to dare disturb my slumber?" The voice laughs. "I am not used to being spoken to that way." Its voice is like an assassin's steel, sudden, stealthy, and sharp. It unnerves even the formidable Karina. She draws on her power to shield herself and feels the voice react. "Ah, now you seek to strike me, banish me with some foul spell. Once I would have taken your heart for such words, for such actions. Now what? Now I am different. A different being. A shard." The voice peters off. Her candles flicker as the wind billows in, beckoned by some unseen force. "Why are you here?" she asks, aware suddenly that her voice was raised, alerting. "I have come to strike a bargain," it says. "A deal." Karina scoffed. "What deal would I have? What accord could I desire from a beggar of Nagash? Go back to your Lord of Bones and trouble me no more with your promises of glory. Do not be a fool, sorceress. I am not of Nagash." "No?" That piqued her interest. "No. I am a shard of something else. Something forgotten." "What?" "Now is not the time. First, you must come to me. You must free me." Karina pursed her lips. "And what benefit would that be to me?" The voice cackled again. "You are a sorceress, are you not? A wielder of the way of shadows, gifted by Morathi herself? I would bestow upon you secrets." "Secrets?" "Yes, secrets from another time, another age, before these realms even existed. Secrets from the world that was." "The world that was?" Karina chewed the words over in her mouth. Her mind was cast back to the library in the ancient half-buried city of Hassas Kull, where a great library of dust-coated books had been her home for almost a decade. In that time, she had read withered parchments which contained snippets of the world it was and the beings of immeasurable might who once resided there. "Go on," she said. "I am interested, if nothing else." "Come to me in the ancient tower of Sekharth. It is far to the north beyond the mountains, in a land of ice and death. Seek me in the ruins of its high tower, and I shall guide you to great power. power that could rival even Morathi herself. That made Karina catch her breath. Such words were dangerous, particularly in the night when the shadows were high and the mistress of Ulgu's minions could be listening. Nonetheless, she replied, a whisper in the dark. I will seek you. The voice did not respond, and only the wind answered her. The wind roused Syanda. Her form cracked as ice broke from her branched limbs, snow sloughing from her facial features as crimson eyes and a crimson maw groaned open. Her scythe was instantly by her side. The wind rattled again, and Syanda called in response. Her sisters answered. The coven of dryads, invisible to the untrained eye, were suddenly animated and lancing through the crumbling ruins of the frozen city of Sekarth. Though surrounded by death and decay in the realm of Shaish, the foul, noxious presence of Nagash, Syanda relished in her movements, her form given purpose by the life force of Alariel. Her mission had been given to her by the Everqueen. Keep the tower a secret. Keep death at bay. Syandra and her sisters halted. Leaves fluttered towards them, on their surface the scent of steel and leather, the foul odour of sorcery, the reek of dragonkind. With a nod, Syanda's sisters took positions, their grey bark melding into the crumbling stone around them. Syanda herself closed her eyes and began softly singing an incantation. She sang not to Alariel, but to the mighty Durthu. So these are the Sylvaneth Forces for this first battle report in the campaign The Shard of the World That Was. In it we are led by Spirit of Durthu. He is the general. He's equipped with the Guardian Sword, massive impaling talons, and can strike foes from afar with his Verdant Blast. We've also got a Branch Witch, and she is armed with a Greenwood Scythe and Snapping Mandibles. She can also cast some spells, so she probably won't be up in the centre. And then the main bulk of the force is going to be this unit of 10 Dryads, and they are led by a Branch Nymph and attack the foe with their Racking Talons. So, in all, this is built from the start, collecting set of Sylvaneth, painted in a winter theme, which you can also see on one of the videos on my channel. So this is the Sylvaneth for this battle. Okay, so this is the Dark Elf force of the first battle report in the campaign of the Shard of the World That Was. We are led by a sorceress on a black dragon, who is Karina herself, the main sort of driving force in the opening stages of this narrative. There she is, she's on her loyal black dragon, who reputedly is the soul of her estranged mother made manifest into this dark creature. So there she is. She's got a unit of 10 Dread Spears following her, and a unit of 10 Dark Shards following her, which makes up a retinue. So it comes to 490 points, I believe, altogether. This is based out of the Kraith's Shadow Pack box set, which is a great box set that Games Workshop released, and it sort of spurred me to get back into fantasy. So hence this campaign. So there you go. So this is the Dark Elf Force for today's battle report. Hello and welcome to the first installment of this Warhammer Age of Sigmar campaign, The Shard of the World That Was. This is the first in a series of solo battle reports. Solo for the minute because Nurgle's blessing is still upon the world. But hopefully when things start to open up a bit, I will bring in some other people to play as well. So in this battle report I have Sorceress Carina herself. You'll have heard her from the narrative at the beginning of the book, and she is leading a unit of Dark Shards and a unit of Dread Spears that are already in position, looking around the ruins of Sekarth, the frozen tower. Opposing them we have Spirit of Durthu, branch witch there in the background and a unit of 10 dryads. So essentially it is the Darkling Coven Star Collecting set against the Sylvaneth Star Collecting set, which will be a feature of this battle report. So these are short battles, narrative driven, and yeah, it's a way for me to learn how to play the game and to fuel my love of painting fantasy miniatures. So over here we have some arcane runes, we have some inspiring runes, we have some sinister runes, and very appropriately, the Frozen Tower itself is arcane. So, the objectives for this battle report, the mission, is that Karina has to be securing the tower herself. Can't be one of her units, it has to be herself because she has to get in there and search it by the end of the 3rd turn. And the Sylvaneth have to try and reduce Karina to less than 3 wounds. So, the Sylvaneth have the first turn because they have sprung their trap. They've sort of materialized from the mist and the gloom that surrounds this battle held in the Realm of Death, and have caught these poor dread spears unawares. So, without further ado, let's get the battle started, and I will come back with the Sylvaneth hero phase. So, at the start of the Sylvaneth hero phase, the only thing that they have to do, they're going to get a command point, they're going to put it in the bank. The only thing that they have to do is the Branch Witch is going to cast Mystic Shield on the Spirit of Dirthy. So she's going to get that on a 6. She's going to fail on a 5. That was a 4. There we go. That failed. Okay. So they're going to do some moving, and we'll see where they end up. So the next thing to happen is the shooting phase, and the only shooting attack the Sylvaneth have is the Verdant Blast from the Spirit of Dirthu, which is going to go into these poor stranded dread spears. So he's got 6 attacks. He hits on 4s. He's going to hit 4 times. That's quite good. He's going to wound on 3s. And he wounds every time. This is -1 rend and D3 damage. So these Dark Shards normally have a 4-up save. Goes to a 5-up. Just the one save. There's going to be 3d3 damage on this unit, which is going to be 1, 2, 4. Again, 1, 2, 4 damage. So 4 of those Dread Spears are just going to be taken out. Dread Spears are gone. So now we're going to move into the charge phase, and first thing that's going to charge are these Dryads. So let's see how far they go. They're going to go a whopping 10, so that's definitely going to be enough to get in. And the Spirit of Dirthy is also going to attempt a charge. He needs a long one. That's going to fail, but it will spend their command point. Try again, because he's angry. 10. Let's go and check if that is enough. 10 inches is base to base. That's definitely enough to get within a ½ inch. Spirit of Dirthy's coming charging in. The Dryads are coming charging in. These Dread Spears are in a bit of trouble. So at the start of the combat phase, Spirit of Dirthy rolls a dice to see if his ground shaking stomp takes effect. Which shouldn't really matter, but why not? It helps me remember the rules. So on a 4+, no, so it doesn't take effect, although I do think that these Dark Shards are not long for the world. So, Spirit of Dirthy is going to attack first of all with his Guardian Sword. He's got 3 attacks, he hits on 3s. He hits all 3 times. He wounds on 3s. He only wounds once, so there's a chance. There's a chance. It is -2 rend. They do have a 4-up save, so on a 6+, these Dark Shards are going to nimbly dodge out of the way of that sweeping blade. No, so his full profile, it does a full 6 damage. 4 of them have already died to shooting. That is the unit of Dread Spears, sorry, completely wiped out. Karina's bodyguard has been halved in the first turn, but yeah, let's see what can happen. So the Dryads have consolidated forward, or piled in forward, sorry, because they still charge, they still get a pile in move. They move towards the closest enemy model, which is Karina herself. So, yeah, that is going to be the end of Sylvaneth turn 1. They have completely wiped out that unit of Dread Spears, which are part of Karina's loyal guard that she brought to the far north. So yeah, let's see what Karina and her remaining retinue can do as we go on to Dark Elves, turn 1. Starting off the hero phase in turn 1 for the Dark Elves, Karina is going to use her command ability, Command Underlings. So they get a command point she's going to spend straight away on Command Underlings to make these Dark Shards have the ability to run and still shoot this turn. So enraged by the death of her loyal close combat troops, she then barks harsh, unforgiving orders at the Dark Shards that they will need to pick up the slack, essentially, and do this. And then herself, of vengeance, she's going to attempt to cast her spell, which is Blade Wind. She's cast on a 6, and she's going to target this unit of Dryads. So let's see if she gets that on a 6. She's going to get it on a 10. So the Branch Witch will try and dispel that. 8 and an 11. No, not going to happen. So that is going to go ahead. And this could be crucial. This could be really, really crucial on this unit of Dryads. So waving her magical witch rod in the air, she casts Blade Wind down upon these Dryads, turning the very ice and the snow that we imagine is falling into razor sharp swords and daggers that come swirling in and hopefully chop these to pieces. So what happens is we roll 9 dice, and anything that is below their save characteristic inflicts a mortal wound. So they have a save characteristic of a 5+, so 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s are going to inflict mortal wounds. So there's some 5s, but that is 5 wounds have come through. So 5 of those Dryads just get turned to splinters. 5 Dryads down, 5 remaining. Let's see what happens as Karina orders her troops forward. Okay, end of the Darkling Coven movement phase, and Karina has flown up to take position at the foot of this arcane tower. Her Darkshard retinue, excuse me, her Darkshard retinue have come up behind her, and they are just within range with their repeater crossbows at the Spirit of Dirthu. So with movement complete, we're going to move on to shooting and to see if these razor sharp bolts, no doubt coated in deadly poisons, etc., can inflict any damage on that towering avatar of the forest spirit. So there are 10 models still in the unit. They got 2 shots each. All of them are going to fire into the Spirit of Dirthu, because why not? So there's 20 shots here. They normally hit on 4s, but because there's still 10 of them, they're going to hit on 3s. And actually, I did forget, I'm going to take 2 of these out because the unit leader hits on 2s. So I'll roll those separately. So let's get... I'm going to come back because I can't pick up all my dice. So the repeater crossbows are going to come into the Spirit of Dirthu. They have 2 shots each. There are still 10 of them, so they normally hit on 4s, so they're going to be hitting on 3s because that's the ability they have. The unit leader hits on 2s because he's the unit leader, so this is the first 18, and then I'll roll another 2 after that. So these are hitting on 3s, so let's take out the 1s and 2s. Okay, and then I'll just roll another 2, and these are hitting on 2s. So they both hit. So that was 16 hits in all. So then to wound is 4s. And I'll re-roll that one in just a second because drop next to account. Not a good spread. 4, 5 wounds, just 5 wounds inflicted on the Spirit of Dirthu. And Dirthu is going to save these on a 3+, because he doesn't suffer any rend. So Dirthu is going to take 2 wounds, which does knock him down a bracket, I think. But yeah, not a good showing from the Darkling Covens this turn. So 2 wounds off the Spirit of Dirthu. He's wounded, and I imagine a little bit angry with all those crossbow bolts sticking out of his hide. So the Darkling Covens under Karina have taken up position outside this tower, and they're going to hope to get another volley off at the Sylvaneth before they turn around and put their attention onto her herself, because she is the objective of the Sylvaneth in this game. Before we do that, however, we've got a little bit of battle shock to do. So the Dryads So we do have some battle shock to do. Those Dryads took 5 wounds. They're normally a bravery of 6, but because they're wholly within 12 inches of Dirthu, he has inspired them, so they are now bravery 7. -5 is 2, so on a 1 and a 2 they're okay. 3+ more Dryads are... I don't think Dryads would run away, but I think maybe the magic that sort of binds them and animates them disintegrates. So let's see what happens. 2, no, the Dryads are fine. They're going to stand firm. So let's go into the roll-off to see who takes the second turn. So roll off for the second turn. The blue dice is the Sylvaneth, the red dice the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are going to take the second turn. Start of the hero phase for Karina. She's going to use her command underling's ability, spending her command point on the Dark Shards, meaning that they can run and charge this turn. Run and shoot this turn, sorry. Well, they can run and charge too, but I don't think they're going to do that. She's then going to attempt to cast Blade Wind. She's just within 18 inches. There's a hair's breadth in it, but she's just within 18 inches of this unit of Dryads. So she's going to turn the ice in the air again into shards and swords and try and mulch them into splinters once more. So she needs a 6 to cast this. She cast it on a 5. That's a fail. And that ends the hero phase. So there's going to be a bit of movement. Let's see what comes next. Errata, learning the rules, do forgive me. She is within range of an arcane tower. So that is +1 to her casting, which means she does cast that on a 6. But the Branch Witch is within 30 inches, going to attempt to dispel it. And of course dispels it, so that's what you get for not playing by the rules, Karina. So let's see what happens after the movement phase. So after the movement phase, Karina is wise and powerful, therefore she is not foolish. She has guided her dragon around to this side of the battlefield after the Branch Witch nullified her magic last turn. She is eyeing him up and has ordered her troops to secure the tower. So the Dark Shards have not moved because they are just exactly within 16-inch range of the Spirit of Dirthu, and they're going to try and unleash another volley at him in the shooting phase, which is going to come right up. So these Dark Shards firing in on the Spirit of Dirthu. 18 shots from the regular guys because they're still hitting on 3s, and I'm going to take out these 2 misses and roll them as hits for the champion. So those were 2 hits from the champion, and I'm going to take out the misses. Alright, so 5 misses this time. This looks like 15 hits. So let's see how many of these convert into wounds. So we're looking at 4s to wound here. Per showing with the wounds again, just 4. 4 wounds for the Spirit of Dirthu to save on 3 pluses. Gonna fail another 2, that's it, chipping him down. He's gonna go down having suffered 4 wounds. I think he has 8 left, so he's a third of the way down. But that's it with their volley again, lancing out across the battlefield, striking into the Spirit of Durthu. That is the end of the Darkling Coven's turn 2. Let's see what the Sylvaneth do in turn 2. Start of the Sylvaneth turn 2. The Branch Witch is going to attempt to cast Mystic Shield on old Durthu over here to get him to reroll 1s. Let's see if she can do this time. Cast on a 6. So that does get cast on an 11. But Karina over here is going to try and deny. She will need a 12. No, Karina fails, so that does get cast. Durthu is going to be rerolling 1s to his save, which is going to be quite beneficial because he does have that nice 3-up save. So with all that done, that is the end of the Sylvaneth hero phase. Let's see where they end up after the movement phase. Into the Sylvaneth movement phase. Branch Witch scuttled up, hiding behind this portcullis with a lovely little view out at Karina. The Spirit of Durthu moved up, as did the Dryads under his command. The only shooting is going to come from Durthu. He is now slightly wounded, so he's got 4 attacks with his Verdant Blast. These are going to hit on 4s. He's going to hit twice. He's going to wound on 3s. And he's going to wound twice. It is rend -1. Dark Shards have a 5+ save, so these are going to be saved on 6s. No saves. This is going to be 2d3 damage. It's going to be 5 damage. It's going to wipe out an entire rank of these Dark Shards. So, as Durthu slams his foot into the ground, roots and other things spring up from this ancient city, hidden underneath this ancient city, and slam into these Dark Shards and wipe out an entire rank of them. So, they have made the charge slightly longer for themselves, as bodies are dragged into the earth underneath. So, Durthu, he needs a 10-inch charge. That's going to be a fail, but they have command points to spend. He's going to spend a command point and definitely fail on a 2. These Dryads are within 8, or just over 7.5 inches, so they're going to need an 8 to get within half an inch. And they get it. They are going in. So, at the start of the combat phase, after they've piled in, obviously, they're going to use their Enrapturing Song ability to give themselves +1 to hit against the, I assume, not long for this world Dark Shards. So, they have 11 attacks. They normally hit on 4s, but because of Enrapturing Song, they're going to hit on 3s. So, we'll take out the misses. And wound on 4s. That is 5 wounds on the Dark Shards. These are saved on 5 pluses because there's no rend. It's a wipeout. The Dark Shards are no more. So the Dryads finish off that unit of Dark Shards that Durthu blasted verdantly. So now we're moving in to the roll-off for turn 3. And this could be a crucial one for Karina. She's now on her own. The retinue has fallen around her, but the tower still stands. She's still untouched. Let's see what, if anything, she can do. Roll off for turn 3. Blue is Sylvaneth, red is Dark Elves. It's a tie. Dark Elves are breaking that tie. The Dark Elves. Karina is going to take the 3rd turn. So at the start of the hero phase, Karina is going to use command underlings on herself, which I imagine she just starts whipping and kicking the dragon and forcing it into action. And then she's going to cast Blade Wind on Durthu to try and strip some more wounds off this horrific avatar of the forest. So 9 dice. She has to cast it first. My goodness me. It is cast on a 6. She casts that on an 8. So Mr. Old Branchwich will try and dispel it and fail. So that goes off. Now we get the 9 dice. Learning. Let's see. 3, 6, 9. These are looking for 1s and 2s for mortal wounds on Durthu. So that is going to take 3 mortal wounds off Durthu. Durthu is down to 5 wounds left. He has taken 7. And Karina is mad. She is very mad. She has seen her retinue fall, her loyal minions that have been with her on this vicious march north, and she has charged forward to wreak some vengeance on these upstart elven or sylvan foes that have tried to hinder her in her quest. So she's within range of the shooting phase now for her shooting attack. So she's going to use her noxious breath on, well, the dragon is going to use this noxious breath on these dryads. So roll a dice for every model in the unit. On 6s, they're taking mortal wounds. 1 mortal wound, 1 dryad gets, shall we say, fumigated by that dragon's noxious breath. So it's on to the charge phase. She's within 3 inches, so as long as she doesn't roll a 2, she doesn't, she's in. Let's see if this dragon can finish off Durthu. Karina comes charging in. She is armed with a witch rod. She's going to strike with it first. She's going to hit on a 4. She hits. She's going to wound on a 3. She doesn't wound. It doesn't happen. So the dragon's going to attack next with its fearsome jaws. It's going to hit on 4s. It only hits once. It needs a 2 to wound. It does wound. This is -2 rend. So this is a 5-up save, re-rolling 1s, because Mystic Shield is still in effect. And Durthu saves it, so the claws are going to have to do it. It's got 6 attacks with the claws. They're hitting on 4s. Just 2 hits. They're going to wound on 3s. They both wound. This is -1 rend, so it's 4 ups, re-rolling 1s for Durthu. 1 failed, 2 damage. Durthu has 3 wounds left, and now he's going to turn around. Uh-oh. Sorry, I forgot to turn the camera on for this part, but this is Durthu's roll for his ground shaking stomp, so yeah, she still gets to attack first. So okay, Durthu's going to attack with his sword. He hits on 3 still. He hits all 3 times. He wounds on 3s. He's going to wound twice. It is -2 rend, so it's going to cut straight through her 5+ save. And it's going to do d6 damage. For a total of 6 damage. The dragon is going to take 6 wounds. So the dragon has, I think, 8 left. Yep, still 8 left. So he is then going to attack with his massive impaling talons. 1 attack, which hits on a 3. That's a hit. It's going to wound now on a 3 because he's wounded. And he doesn't wound with that. So he manages to tickle the dragon a little bit, but not enough to bring it down in this turn at least. But now we move on to Sylvaneth turn 3. Let's see what happens. In the hero phase, I'm going to get a command point, which brings him back up to 2. And the Branchwich is going to try and arcane bolt the dragon. As you can see just there. So this is cast on a 5, which goes off on 8. Karina will of course try and deny, and get a deny on a 10. So no arcane bolt coming through. That's the end of the hero phase. Come back after movement. End of the movement phase, and everything has moved up. The forces of the Sylvaneth are converging on poor Karina. The Dryads moved up within 3 inches. Durthu obviously stayed where he is.
and the branch witch moved up within 3 inches. So now we're into the shooting phase. Only thing we have to do is the verdant blast from Dirty. So he's gonna have 3 attacks now because he's wounded, and he's gonna hit on 4s. And he hits all 3 times. Wound on 3s. Wound all 3 times. This is gonna be a 6-up save. She fails all 3 times and is gonna do D3 damage. So 3, 6, 8 damage. She'd only 8 wounds left. Karina is dead. All becomes very still in this battlefield. Karina falls from the saddle for a dragon, who catches her in a claw and swoops high into the sky and carries her off, knowing that the sorceress will be kind to him once she wakes from the wounds that have been inflicted by these Sylvan Forces. Sylvan Forces have been triumphant. They have held back the trespasser on this ancient and most hallowed site, and the magic that is within this tower in Sereth will remain hidden, at least for now. But the Dark Elves are not the only ones that seek the treasure, the forbidden knowledge within this ancient city, and the Sylvaneth will not rest their weary roots for long before another foe appears on the horizon. If you have stayed this far, thank you for staying this far. Thank you for joining me in my first battle report, the inaugural battle report in this campaign, which I hope to be a long-running, year-long campaign. I enjoyed playing it. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Sylvaneth have been victorious, but let's see what that means for future chapters in this campaign of the Shard from the world that was. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe to keep following the campaign. Really helps me out. And yeah, take care and happy wargaming.
Retreat! Shurak spat. Retreat! His call was followed by the sharp blast of a horn. Bolts that had been zipping overhead, thudding uselessly into the hide of the animated tree brute, suddenly ceased as the order was heeded without hesitation. The lordling Shurak moved forward, shoving through the retreating mass of spearmen who pulled away from the gibbering Sylvaneth hordes. He had seen Karina fall, and it was his duty to recover her. Her dragon Vastar was defending her body with all his might. Streams of noxious breath billowed from his maw, engulfing the tree beast, doing little but temporarily blinding it. Karina was wounded, her stomach sliced from the heavy crimson sword of the sylvan monster. Vastar, too, was riddled with cuts and bled dark ichor over the snow-coated ground. Shurak ducked suddenly as zipping bolts of energy fizzed overhead. Spikes droned and spun back around, heading for him, trailing a magical cloud. They burst from a hive on the branch witch's back, her scythe glowing with arcane energy as she guided them. Shurak hacked the sprites away with his blade, making for his wounded mistress. The huge tree thing saw him, and swung. The crimson sword, colossal in size and weight, slammed downwards. Only his Druchi reflexes and no small measure of luck saved him. He slid to the right, and gave a swipe with his blade for good measure. It merely bounced off the Sylvaneth's iron-like bark. The distraction was enough. The tree beast was slow, and as it dragged its sword high, Shurak had already gathered Karina's bleeding form into his arms. "Vasta!" he growled. "You need to fly!" The ancient drake hissed at the insolence of the lordling, but now the tree thing had closed the gap and was readying for a killing strike. With speed and ferocity, Vastar scooped Shurak and Karina into his claws, beating his bat-like wings. The Sylvaneth struck, a heavy blow to the shoulder of the dragon that bit to the bone. "Now, Vastar!" Shurak rasped. The dragon needed no more convincing. It slithered away, using its hind legs to gather momentum, clambering over the ruined outline of a castle wall before leaping off and catching the wind. Shurak looked over his shoulders and saw the Sylvaneth beast stop, then ponderously turn back. It did not need to follow him. It had defended its charge. its work was done. Shurak gazed back down at Karina, pulling her close, listening to the ragged rasp of her breathing. "This is not over, mistress," he swore softly. "One day we will return and burn those infernal trees to the ground." As they flew off, soaring over the heads of the retreating Druchi, Karina offered the briefest smile before she slipped into oblivion. The avatar of Durthu watched the darklings flee, before it turned and offered a nod to Syanda. She nodded in kind, and began softly singing the Song of Rest. Slowly, the ancient spirit left the material world and returned to its place of peace. Syanda was grateful, though the cost had been dear. She turned, suddenly fearful of what it was she was protecting. Her gaze fell on the tower of Sakarth, where the sorceress and her minions had tried desperately to secure. What foul thing could be hidden within to cause such desperation? What malign artifact could drive them so far north into a blighted land? Syanda shook her head. That was not her place. Alariel had commanded her to defend, not to question. She would obey the Ever-Queen. Yet more will come. She knew that. The only question was when. Syanda hefted her scythe and began singing once more, bringing more of her sisters to her. Her gaze fell on the still husk of Durthu. She had a feeling she would be calling him again, and soon.